Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Good evening to you all. I will be opening up the program, inshallah ta'ala, with a few ayahs, with a few verses from Surah Al-Asra. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله لنريه من آياتنا إنه هو السميع البصير وآتينا موسى الكتاب وجعلناه هدى لبني إسرائيل ألا تتخذوا من دوني وكيلا ذرية من حملنا مع نوح إنه كان عبدا شكورا. I don't want to keep the mic for too long, inshallah, but now that both speakers are here, inshallah ta'ala, I will share both just a bio real quick. For Dr. Jiab Suleiman, he's a board-certified orthopedic surgeon with a specialization in hands and joints. He has been a part of numerous projects related to Palestine, especially in the West Bank. He has traveled the world giving lectures and speeches in various capacities related to orthopedic surgery. He is well known for establishing one of the most advanced hospitals in the West Bank. He currently practices in Dearborn, Michigan. Welcome, Dr. Jiab. Before I introduce the other beautiful speaker, inshallah ta'ala, I just want to share something very briefly about Dr. Jiab Suleiman. He did my ACL surgery for me back in 2018. And subhanAllah, I vividly remember going under and waking up in a lot of pain. And so I told Dr. Suleiman, I was like, I have a lot of pain. And I'm crying. He's like, Ibrahim. And I'm like, I'm in a lot of pain. He's like, Ibrahim. I'm like, yes, Ammu. He's like, I'll give you pain medication as long as you give me 3 verses from Surah Al-Imran. And very reluctantly, I recited 3 verses, and I just remember going back to sleep and waking up no pain. So I got the pain medication. Alhamdulillah. Dr. Abdullah Bukhari, by profession, is a board-certified emergency, family, and obesity medicine physician. He has certifications in critical care and trauma. He has multiple fellowships in medical education and infectious disease research. He is associate professor at Michigan State University and has participated in many leadership roles. He is an international and national speaker, lecturer, researcher, and a scholar in the field of medicine. Currently, he practices in Pontiac, Michigan, and is the director of Wellness for Emergency Program at McLaren, Oakland. Please give it up for our speakers.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Always a pleasure to be here in your own community, mashallah. Thank you, Ibrahim, for those beautiful introductions. May Allah bless you. We're so honored to be here with you all to share our experience in our medical mission trip that we partook in. So before we begin, just a few disclaimers. 1, the views and opinions expressed in this presentation are solely of the presenters and do not necessarily reflect the views and policies and positions of this masjid or organization. Any content that is provided by our presenters will be of their own opinion and is not intended to malign any religion, any ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, anyone or anything. Warning, parental discretion is advised, okay? This presentation is going to contain graphic content, including images, depictions of violence, blood, and possibly disturbing scenes. Viewer discretion is advised, and these images are intended only for educational and informational purposes only. So, some of the objectives for today. One, the introduction to the Palestinian situation for those who are not aware. The stories and experiences that we encountered in Gaza and in Palestine. What are the descriptions and the conditions and the supply issues and the necessities that they have? What are the health impacts that a war has when it comes to health crisis, the health system, the diseases and injuries? What are the challenges that the medical team is facing? And what are the lessons that we learned from this? What's the call to action? And then what were some, if we have time, maybe we'll speak about some personal motivations in the mission trip and some personal reflections, inshallah, which I think will be beneficial. So what is an apartheid? Apartheid is a system or an institutionalization which there's a racial segregation and discrimination. This was initially enforced in South Africa from 1948 to the early 1990s. And this term apartheid is derived from Afrikaans, which means apartness or separateness. What are some key features when it comes to an apartheid? One, you find legalized segregation. You have laws with strict segregations in every aspect of one's life. You're talking about housing, education, healthcare, public facilities, parks, beaches, and transportation. You have classification by race. People are classified into categories: Arab, white, black, Palestinian. And these rights are different under the law. You have restriction in movement. You have IDs that are required just to get from one place to another. You have unequal access to resources. You may be limited in what you have access to when it comes to land, employment, education, political participation. And then sometimes you have forced removals from designated areas where there are settlements. And then you have limited civil rights, right? You don't have the right to vote. You might have limited rights of freedom of speech and assembly, etc. So this is what an apartheid is. What is a genocide? A genocide is an intentional destruction of a whole or part of a group based on either their ethnicity, their nationality, their religion, or other defining characteristics. It can involve mass killings, forced displacement, systemic torture, and other methods aimed to eradicate the targeted group. So what are some examples that we know of famous that are in history? One, the Holocaust, right? The Armenian genocide in 1915, 1923. The Rwandan genocide, where you had over almost close to 800,000 people killed within 100 days. You have the Cambodian genocide, right? You have about almost 2 million Cambodians were killed through executions, forced labor, starvation, disease. The Bosnian genocide in 1992, 1995, many of us remember that, right? There were so many forces that were just mass killing based on certain identifications of a group. And now we have Palestine. Palestine is an apartheid and is a genocide. And people forget that Palestine was the one who took in a lot of people from a different background back in the 1900s into their land. People forget this. The Germans destroyed our families, don't destroy our hopes.
Assalamu alaikum. So this is a map. It's interesting. I was looking at this. I had a presentation at the Wayne Street Medical Students just before I came here about this whole thing with Gaza and what's happening now. And we shared some of the afterwards, some of the ideas that we're discussing here. If you look at the map, if you look at map in 1947, which is this map here, this is what Palestine looked like. The green is all Palestinian land. And as years have gone by, now if you look at the present map, the yellow is basically Israeli-controlled territory. And the small spots, Gaza, of course, is that small area in the lower corner of the map. And this is a magnified picture of Gaza. Gaza is very small, it's probably the size of my thumb on the map. And that's what's causing all the trouble nowadays in this conflict, alhamdulillah. But that's how much land has been basically taken over by the Israeli occupation. So as you see, this is Gaza from the north to the south, and you see how thin Gaza is as well. So Gaza is divided into multiple regions. You have Gaza City, which is in the north, and then you have the central portion of Gaza, which you have Deir al-Balah, Khan Yunis, and then the southernmost portion, which is now on the news a lot, Rafah, which is the only area that we can enter to Gaza through. And as you can see, from the west you have the Mediterranean, so you're basically locked. From the north you have land, and the east you have land, and the south you have land. But this red area basically shows that Gaza is a enclosed, it's a ring. There's nowhere for you to get in, there's nowhere for you to get out. And the only inlet currently, I was there, me and Abdullah, about 3 weeks ago. We came the day of Eid, or the day before Eid. The only access to Gaza was the Rafah entry point, which is the southernmost portion of Gaza. Everything else is blocked, and now that entry point is blocked completely. So there's no access at all.
To the contrary, this is a great depiction of what it means to be an open-air prison. And this is what we're talking about. And the people in Palestine in this area have no control. They have no control.
You can skip that one.
So this just depicts the 1.5 million people that have been pushed from the north into the south, and these different zones that they have created, which are divisions of zones where there's numerous areas of violence. So there's nowhere safe to go. There's nowhere safe to go.
Now this is northern Gaza. Some of the towns in northern Gaza and the hospitals which are depicted in this picture. You have Beit Lahia, Beit Hanun. But if you focus on the H, which is the hospitals, the only hospitals that are functional right now in Gaza are literally Al-Awda Hospital, which is right down here, Indonesian hospital, semi-functional, and then you have, where is Kamal Udwan, is it here? And so Kamal Udwan and the hospital which was bombed early in the conflict, which was the Ma'madani Hospital. It's called Al-Ahli Hospital too. And of course, Shifa's completely destroyed, out of commission. And these are small hospitals, by the way. One of the brothers that who represents one of the organizations was there in Gaza. He went to Kamal Udwan Hospital, and I spoke with the medical director, and he said, listen, brother, we have nothing here. Nothing. Needles. We don't have needles. He said, I need needles. Imagine you shouldn't have a needle to it's basic, something you just don't think about. So those are, and there is still about 500,000 to 600,000 people living in this area. So imagine having no access to healthcare whatsoever. That's Gaza City. There's the hospitals. These hospitals, they're non-existent. They're non-functional. So now this is we're talking about Deir al-Balah now, which is the central portion of Gaza. We've been to this hospital multiple times. Al-Aqsa Hospital is still open, functional, but it's a small hospital. But they're exhausted. Too many injuries every day. A lot of shuhada every day as well. And so this is Khan Yunis. Khan Yunis, the main hospital in Khan Yunis is the European hospital, which is down here. That's where most of the medical missions are based. Currently, as of yesterday, there's no medical missions in Gaza, none. So the entry is closed. There are some brothers that are still there from Rahma, from Jordan, came through other organizations that are still stuck there. They couldn't leave. And the European hospital is even currently is exhausted because what happened last 4 days, the staff had to go pick their families from the tents because you have 1.5 million people that, like Brother Abdullah said, that moved from the north to the south. And I was just texting one of the brothers, his name is Khalid, remember Khalid? He said to me, we've moved 4 times in the last 4 days. This is a young kid who's a hafid of the Kitabillah. He knows the 7 qira'at. You know, remember him, right?
20 years old.
And I texted him today to see how he's doing. He said, we've moved 4 times in the last 4 days from one tent to another, you know. And now they're going to a Mawasi, which is on the water. They said probably that's where we will end anyhow. But that's the story of a lot of people.
So a lot of the refugee camps are here, and then a lot of them have been down here. And then near the European hospital, which is here, where a lot of our work was done in different European hospital, Kuwaiti hospital, and then up here in Nasser Hospital, literally there's 30,000 people in the hospital, okay? I'm gonna show you pictures.
These are the people that were told to move from the north to the south. So they've sought refuge in hospitals. Of course, Shifa's gone. Nasser is semi-functional right now. This is one of the most painful, I keep talking about this, but the most painful situations that I've witnessed the first time I went to Gaza. When you walk in a hospital, it's a corridor, it's clean. All you see in the hallways of the hospitals and the stairwells is people. Women, men, kids, babies, you know, and because they sought refuge. And there were about 25,000 people living inside the hospital, not around the hospital. And then point the Kuwaiti hospital down there. So this is the Kuwaiti hospital. Now this hospital is the only hospital right now that is functional. And they're exhausted. The medical director, Dr. Sohaib, I text him every minute. I don't sleep at night. Because he says, we have a disaster, كارثي. All they see, because they closed the Rafah border, the tanks are right here, and they keep bombing these areas. So and they're within a half a kilometer away from the hospital, literally, the tanks. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah make it easy for them, and there's nothing getting into. Like, I'm supposed to leave tomorrow on a mission. He has asked me for an ultrasound. The ultrasound doesn't work in his hospital. I just bought the ultrasound, and it's ready. And I'm leaving, inshallah. We'll see how things go, inshallah. But with this last 3-4 days, they've been overwhelmed, literally.
And if you look here, there's about 1 million people here, and then right around the European hospital. So I told you about the hospital inside. But when you're literally walk outside of the emergency room, all you see is tents. For those that have been to Hajj, it's like Mina, but no water, no food, no showers, no sewage, no sandals, no nothing. And the tents are like flimsy. I don't know, they're not even tents. So there's about 250,000 people around the hospital that we were around.
Yeah, you'll see some pictures of these tents,
you,
inshallah. These are the numbers from, this is updated. This is, 40,000 people from the latest numbers from the Ministry of Health. A lot of them are children, women, old people, you know, civilians. None of these people are fighters. They keep telling us, oh, these are human shields and this and that and the other. There's none of that stuff, by the way. As far as it's devastating. I've at least had the chance to go from Rafah all the way to the most northern part I could get to without having to pass a Israeli checkpoint, which is called Wadi Gaza. And there's so much destruction of homes, facilities. They say I think more than 60%. One of the young men yesterday, I'll send it to you, sent me videos of his town. He's walking in the town. He goes, brother, this was my village. There's no single building or home that stands in the wallahi, not one single one. Damar, كلها. دمرين مش مخليش دبابات, they bulldozed everything. He goes, this was my village. Anyhow, a lot of stories, but sad stories. So this is where Brother is pointing to. The Ares checkpoint is the northernmost portion, part of, that's a land entry point, but it's closed. These are the areas where under heavy bombing and bombing. Now it's all focused, now it's all over the place, because last week it was different. Today Rafah has been heavily attacked in the south, you know. These crossings are both closed and blocked. And this is the east where the tanks are. They keep shelling, non-stop shelling, constant shelling. You don't sleep in Gaza. I don't know how they sleep in Gaza. You have the drones that buzz. We have videos of these drones that buzz non-stop. They call them in Arabic the zannan because it keeps buzzing, and it's loud. And then the tanks, for some reason, after sunsets, it becomes like a symphony. They just non-stop bombing. This is the entry to, I don't think if this is still there or not, but
destroyed.
Yeah. So this is, we were in the bus. This is on our way to the entry point to Palestine, to Gaza. These are, you see these convoys? These are food convoys. On the way from Arish, which is 20 kilometers away from Rafah, all the way, they're parked on the street, basically, not allowed to enter food, canned food, and some of them have been parked there for, I was told, for 2 months. And you can see there's tons of these, thousands of them. And there's parking lots that are full of these food convoys on both sides of the street. So, before the war, they would, I think that the statistics, they say 500 food convoys or trucks would enter Gaza every day before the war happened. Now, some days it's 5, some days it's 20, now it's completely blocked. There's nothing going in. You see how many trucks are? And this is us driving between the,
They're just sitting there.
Yeah.
They cannot enter. And you saw some of the World Kitchen, there's Baitul Ma, they're all of Islamic
It's
relief.
from all over the world, Muslims and non-Muslims. It's not
Yeah.
just Muslim relief organizations. There's a lot of organizations that deliver food.
This was for miles. I didn't record all of it, but I got a good portion, for us. This is miles. Yes. We saw all
non-Muslim organizations, NGOs, United Nations, ANIRA. There's a lot of organizations that I know of that are not Muslim-based. They're all. So this does not exist anymore. The Israeli tank ran this over yesterday or the day before, and you've probably seen this on. This is our mission, the 7th mission. Brother Abdullah likes to take pictures of himself, so.
They know. They know I don't. They know.
So these are the tents. Look at the tents also. This is just outside of the European hospital on the way in the bus. And this is the kind of situation people are living. They're basic, even below basic. No bathrooms, no water. Now it's hot in Gaza. Gaza on the Mediterranean. It's very sandy and hot area and humid. The temperatures, some of the brothers have been saying, it's just 50 degrees inside the tent. 50 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit, in the tent. So they were begging us for some fans. I'm like, yes, inshallah, we'll bring you some fans. And they're just basic, and there's no bathrooms, of course, no water. And this is just outside. This is a school, United Nations school, just behind the European hospital. And that's what you see all over the place. And there's sometimes 4, 5, 10 people inside of it. This is the hallway of going from where we stayed. These are people sleeping on these mattresses. They're about this thick of a mattress. Literally, this is a hallway between 2 buildings in the hospital. That's what I was talking about, inside the facility of the hospital.
These are professional people with degrees. This is not just...
But you see this all over the place in the hospital. This is more pictures of these tents, and if you see, there's, I think, a picture of the water tanks. They deliver water tanks on donkeys so people can, and this is distilled water, so it's clean, because this water in Gaza is very salty, and you can't drink it, even when you make wudu, it's very, very uncomfortable taste. This is just a little market outside of the European hospital, where they sell cucumbers, tomatoes, and everything's expensive in Gaza too. This is the backyard of the hospital, the European hospital. This is a Quran Hifz school. One of the most amazing things about these people in Gaza, they have resilience, they just don't care. The first day I got there, before Abdullah came with us, the mission prior, I think it was the 5th mission, I'm walking outside of the residence, and there's all these girls standing outside. I told Hammam, one of the Gazans, what is this? He goes, they memorize Quran. Each 4 or 5 girls, they have the masahif in their hands, and they're memorizing. This is just outside the FS. These are the Kuwaiti brothers. 13 of them came with us on this last mission, and this is just outside of that facility. This is also on the way to the hospital. You can see the tents on both sides. This is the emergency room entrance to the right. And you can see tents everywhere. This is just outside of the emergency room. And there's tons of people, tons of kids. There's a lot of sewer on the ground. You can smell it, see it. You're walking in it because there's no sanitation. You know, they destroyed most of the municipalities, so there's no, basically it's just a total destruction. That's the emergency room of the European hospital. And this is, here, talk about your emergency room.
So here's some pictures of the entrance to the emergency room, and I have a video right here of us entering through the emergency room. Now, you're gonna notice there's people everywhere, there's no organization, there's not enough staff. There are literally people everywhere that are like residents now there, and then you have sick people that are trying to be seen by a physician.
It gets significantly worse when there's mass injuries. You know, you can have 50, 70, and he's in the midst of this. This is the man that sees all this firsthand. Because I'm going to see them when they have a broken bone. The surgeon will see them when they have a trauma to the belly.
So this area was the registration room. You had press everywhere. You had people, look at this elderly lady. This is the trauma room on the right side. This is where any gunshots, stabbings, all that stuff was in here. Next to it was the repair room, where if anybody had a cut or broken bone or they needed a splint or something like this, they used this room. They have no supplies. There's no stretchers. There's no tools, nothing. And this is the central area of the ER. These are the physicians on the right side, and all of these people were there to be seen. There were bombings there every night, and the morning was just crazy. Every morning it was insanely crazy.
Point to this where the people live.
Right here.
Look at this.
Look at these are tents. These are all tents in the hospital where people are living.
And they stay there. They don't go anywhere. They sleep there. They wake up there. They eat there.
These are the pictures I added, your videos.
This is the girl that I saw the first night I got to she was burnt with phosphorus. Riham. She is amazing, mashallah. Yeah, it's yeah. So they don't have burn units in Gaza, but she was transferred to Qatar after, like next morning. I said, she has to get out of here. This is another lady who has broken leg. We made a lot of videos undocumented videos of all these injuries. This is a journalist, this guy. I said, what were you doing? He goes, nothing. I got shot with a bullet by a sniper in his leg. His leg is broken, still not fixed permanently. He goes, I wasn't doing anything. And he speaks English, so he was speaking to me in English, and I have a whole video of him. A lot of stories like this.
These were some of the kids that I was able to treat. I didn't include everything, but just some of them. You can see that this little girl right here, she's a 12-year-old, was a victim of one of the bombs, one of the blast injuries. She lost her leg in this foot area, and she had a huge fracture there, so the orthopedic team repaired it. And the whole time I saw her, she's smiling. She's smiling. How are you doing? Alhamdulillah. Subhanallah. These are one of the burn victims, and his whole leg was charred. I'm going to skip through quickly. These are all the gunshots that I saw. Either they were from direct shots or they were the shell injuries. They're literally using weapons that are just very devastating. These were kids that were shot in the head multiple times. These are people that have had injuries and now infected, and Dr. Jiab and his team had to do amputations. These are just some. I'm just showing some that are not as graphic. I have so many more graphic pictures, but I wanted to show you this guy got shot in the leg. There's no pain medicines. There's no Dilaudid. There's no morphine. This is the orthopedic room. They have very limited supplies. Just one size that people brought from one of the medical missions, and they have no staff to help them organize anything, clean it. There's no time. Literally, the staff workers, healthcare workers, they haven't been paid for 7 months now, okay? But they showed up to their shift every morning and every night. You and I, if nobody pays us, we're not showing up. These guys, every time they would show up on time, scheduled, and they would ask me, what time are you coming? And yet the bombs are falling, the cannons are, everything is happening, and they're smiling. And I even asked them, like, what's motivating you guys? What's motivating you guys? It's like, for Allah, these are our people. If we don't take care of them, who will? This was one guy who got shot in the stomach here. You can see we put a chest tube in here on this side to drain the blood out in the chest. But we included this picture, Dr. Jiab and I, because this whole time, him and I are going back and forth and we're reminding each other, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Because he felt he was going to die. He was on the verge of death, and this is the only thing on his mind, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, La ilaha illallah Muhammad. And then when he would like faint and pass out, I would wake up, I was like, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Keep saying it. Subhanallah. And this is what Dr. Jiab and I saw constantly. This is an example of the lack of medical supplies. This is a baby that was greater than 6 months, but if you look at the baby, 60% oxygen, okay? 60% oxygen, and the baby looks like a newborn. They have no nutrition. They have no food. They had no milk. In fact, one of the ladies asked us to bring her a special type of milk. And they couldn't find it anywhere in Gaza, formula. So we were able to bring some, but how long will it last? And then this oxygen tank ran out. That's why the mother came. The oxygen tank is done. And the baby's oxygenating 60%. This is all the supplies that they have in the ER. This was it. Look it's just a small shelf. This is Sister Rania. She was with us. She's a trooper. She's been there for many, many weeks. She just did not want to leave.
She finally came back.
Yeah. Okay, for those that are physicians here, this is the radiology room. People on the side, everywhere, just laying there. This is part of the ER room, and you can see people on the floor. We were intubating, putting life support into people on the ground, on the floor. No bed, nothing. No tools, nothing. This is where the blood work was happening. Okay, just for time's sake, we have a few more minutes. Okay, this is the CT scan room, okay? They only had one CT, very thick slices, meaning you can't get the whole picture of the person. And this is the CT room, and there's a whole family staying here in front of the CT scan room. Imagine the radiation. This right here, this is the x-ray room. Right here on the right side, right here, is where they take the x-rays, right on this wall. And look at the family staying here in the x-ray room. Now we included this video to show you at nighttime, it's just kids and women and young adults, not even. Just roaming around, and literally you would hear bombs falling, the drone non-stop, and then the cannon shooting. And look at these tents. This is all the hospital. Okay. You want to continue after this, Sheikh? Okay. This is an emotional story for me here. This is the physician lounge, and you can see each doctor that was in the ER. And by the way, these are well-trained physicians. I would take these physicians over anyone, any day. If there was, if I had to pick a squad, a fantasy basketball, football team, I'm taking these guys. They are so well-trained, very smart. These guys insisted that we eat with them, we break iftar with them constantly. And we felt guilty. You know, we really felt guilty because this is what all they have. So after planning, they said, you have to eat with us. And look at here, they made food for us and they wanted to eat with us. Yet they have their families around, and this is the only meat they were able to get, chicken. They don't have any meat. It's very hard to get meat. Dr. Jiab knows. How much? $6,000 for a cow. $6,000 for one cow. Normally it's $600? $500, $600. These guys somehow got chicken, cooked it, and by the way, they were insisting I break iftar with them, so we broke iftar. I ate a little bit, and it was so delicious. But right when I'm eating, I'm looking around and I'm seeing everybody, I said, I can't. And I just made an excuse. I said, my stomach is hurting, I can't eat. Then they served it to everybody else, and they loved it. But this was the condition of these guys. They were so embarrassed I wasn't eating with them. And I was embarrassed that why am I even eating? This is how they were living. By the way, this is how they're living. 6 doctors in that room with their families. Okay, this guy had a message.
He's thanking America for helping Palestine. He's being sarcastic, of course.
No. He was being sincere, yet he knew where the weapons are coming from. And he spoke very good English. And this lady, she had a hand fracture, and she was so happy we splintered her. She started making dua for us, that where did you guys come from? Okay, well, this is a long, beautiful message that this man had for all of us in America. We'll do it after Salah, Sheikh, because I think it's 2 minutes left, right? Is that okay?
We'll come back after Salah, inshallah.